Is it a spacecraft from another world? A meteor? Experts and investigators are left baffled. First contact has occurred, but not in the way you'd expect. CERN sent a signal to an interstellar object known as 3E Atlas, and it responded within 9 minutes. Their collider created a gateway to communicate with extraterrestrial entities, and one of them is the occupant of 3E Atlas. That's a round trip faster than light. And this is just the beginning of the enigma. The return signal wasn't a simple greeting. It was a sophisticated mathematical demonstration. A proof for what, you ask? A technology that would render our most advanced physics rudimentary. What many missed is that the message didn't merely say, "We exist." It indicated where they would head next, and that destination might be closer than you imagine. Why 9 minutes is a frightening interval. The team prepared for a lengthy, anxious wait. Coffee was poured, and the low drone of equipment filled the control center. Considering the comet's position, over 80 million miles away at that time, the laws of physics were unmistakable. A round trip for a radio wave traveling at the speed of light should take about 15 minutes each way, 30 minutes total, give or take a few moments. They anticipated, at best, a faint, weakened echo of their own transmission half an hour later. Most thought they would receive nothing at all. But that wasn't what transpired. Exactly 9 minutes and 22 seconds after their transmission ended, the receivers suddenly detected a sharp signal. It was a clean, intense, and unbelievably intricate signal coming directly from the course of 3E Atlas. The control room fell into stunned silence. A 9-minute response was impossible. It contradicted Einstein's theory of relativity, the universe's absolute speed limit. It was like getting a letter in the mail from someone across the globe just 9 minutes after you sent yours. Simply impossible. Initial shock shifted to frantic excitement as alarms rang. Not due to malfunction, but because the signal strength was off the charts. Every sensor was examined. Every system checked. No errors were found. The signal was genuine. The origin was locked onto 3E Atlas. And the message itself, it was pure mathematics, but on a scale far beyond their simple prime number sequence. The object hadn't just replied back. It responded with a complex data stream that began with a sequence defining the fine structure constant, a fundamental physical constant, with precision hundreds of times greater than humanity had ever achieved. It was a demonstration of knowledge so advanced it was like a caveman receiving blueprints for a smartphone. The thing few mention is that this instantaneous, impossible response wasn't a greeting. It was a declaration of superiority. 3E Atlas, or whatever controlled it, hadn't just heard the whisper. It had answered with a roar. The return numbers were more than a physics lesson. They were a blueprint conveying an alien formula. The data from 3E Atlas flowed for just 3 seconds, but contained more information than humanity had ever sent into space in its entire existence. After confirming the fine structure constant, a number governing the fundamental strength of light and matter interaction, the mathematical sequence changed. Possessing this number with such astonishing accuracy implies complete control over the forces of the cosmos. To them, electromagnetism might be as easy to manipulate as clay is to us. Then the signal described a set of geometric relations in multiple dimensions, patterns our best supercomputers struggled to model. The screens filled with elegant rotating structures that defied logic, existing in 11 dimensions simultaneously. What most overlooked initially was that this wasn't just abstract math. It appeared to be instructions, a blueprint for a machine or process that operated on principles humanity only theorized about in speculative fiction. The equation seemed to outline a method to manipulate spacetime at the quantum scale, to literally fold the fabric of reality. It was, simply put, the key to everything. Faster than light travel, infinite energy, communication ignoring distance. This raised a terrifying question. Was this a gift or a challenge? Many dream about receiving advanced technology from aliens, but the reality would be far more complex. Giving a book of matches to a toddler is dangerous. Handing the secrets of spacetime manipulation to a species like ours could lead to disaster. Experts in secret meetings worldwide argued the signal was a filter. Any civilization capable of understanding and building what the numbers described was perhaps deemed ready. Any civilization that couldn't or destroyed itself with the knowledge was not. The 9-minute reply suddenly made a different kind of sense. It wasn't just a demonstration of faster-than-light capability. It was the first stage of a test. Can you even grasp how we are communicating with you? Our answer so far was a clear no. The consequences were immense. 3E Atlas was no longer just a comet. It was a probe, a messenger, or maybe a cosmic library card. The object itself was likely just a vessel, a natural-looking shell designed to transport this knowledge through the galaxy. A needle in a cosmic haystack. Its journey may have begun thousands or millions of years ago from a star system so remote we may never see its light. It was a message in a bottle cast into the cosmic ocean, waiting for someone clever enough to see it and ask the right question. We asked with a simple prime number sequence, and it answered with the universe's secrets. Now, the burden of that knowledge rests with us. But the equations hinted at something far stranger than mere technology. Reading a celestial chart from the void. Physicists and mathematicians worked non-stop, fueled by endless caffeine and a sense of purpose, unraveling more of the message. The intricate geometry and physics were one thing, but the final part of the 3-second transmission was something else. It wasn't an equation or a constant. It was a set of coordinates, a star map. But it was a map unlike any other. Using known pulsars and galactic landmarks as reference, the team pinpointed the location in three-dimensional space. The global astronomy community held its breath, expecting coordinates pointing to a distant star, a home system. The coordinates pointed to an apparently empty region in the Boötes constellation, known as the Great Nothing or the Boötes Void. This was a stunning revelation. The Boötes Void is a real place, a massive, nearly spherical region of space about 330 million light-years wide that is almost devoid of galaxies. To illustrate, if the Milky Way were a marble at the center of a vast room, the room would still contain thousands of other marbles. The Boötes Void is like finding a city-sized room with only 1 or 2 marbles inside. It's a statistical anomaly. For the message to come from there was nonsensical. But what if 3E Atlas wasn't the source but a relay? What if the 9-minute reply wasn't generated by the comet but routed through it from elsewhere? This theory explained the impossible time delay. The comet could be an anchor point for something like a stable wormhole or a quantum-entangled communicator, a cosmic cell tower in our solar system. The true sender could be in that void, using 3E Atlas as a temporary antenna to reach us. This discovery shattered every assumption about our place in the cosmos. It wasn't just a probe or drifting signal. It was a beacon, part of something vast and interconnected, a communication network spanning impossible distances. The civilization behind it might not reside around a star or inside a galaxy. They could be a type for civilization, advanced enough to harness the energy of countless galaxies, bending reality itself to communicate across the void. The coordinates we thought to be a location were never meant to lead us to a planet or home world. They were an invitation, a perception test, a challenge to stop staring at familiar stars and instead look into the dark spaces between them, where light seldom travels and time flows differently. Some of Earth's brightest minds began to grasp what this meant. The message wasn't intended for us, but for any species capable of breaking its encryption and understanding its true intent. It wasn't saying, "Come find us." It was saying, "We observe who can comprehend." If that's true, then somewhere out there, far beyond telescopes and instruments, an ancient intelligence watches us. Not from a planet, not from a galaxy, but from the silent abyss connecting all things. Bringing it all together, the message from 3E Atlas offered a glimpse of impossible physics, a blueprint for transformative technology, and a map pointing into emptiness. But the most important part, the one few mention, was its silence. After those 3 seconds, it said nothing more. No greeting, no caution, no philosophy, just pure, cold data. It was as if someone threw a textbook onto our desk and walked away. That silence carried a weight heavier than any words. It wasn't the silence of distance. It was the silence of indifference. For scientists and leaders who saw the data, it was deeply unsettling. This wasn't a friendly chat with a cosmic neighbor. This was an interaction with something operating on time and thought scales beyond our comprehension. an intelligence so ancient and distant that we are mere curiosities. Like a scientist observing bacteria in a petri dish, it had no need to explain, no reason to comfort. It simply existed. And in its silence, it left us with a chilling message. You were not meant to understand. While this remains speculative, a what-if from imagination, it forces us to face a truth harder than any alien revelation: the crushing loneliness of our species. We dream of first contact as a grand event. Shimmering ships in the sky, enlightened beings sharing their wisdom. But what if it's nothing like that? What if it's something small and quiet? A faint mathematical whisper hidden in the static of a passing rock. What if it already happened and only a few people knew? Imagine holding that secret. You've just seen proof that the laws of physics aren't absolute, that they can be bent, rewritten, broken. You've glimpsed evidence of minds that see the universe as a playground, rearranging it at will. How would you tell the world? How could anyone announce that reality is negotiable and that we're watched by something ancient and incredibly advanced? The chaos, the panic, it would tear civilization apart overnight. Maybe that's why it must remain silent. Maybe that's why they stay silent. The tale of CERN and 3E Atlas may be fiction, but it's based on real questions haunting modern science. We do search for patterns in the noise. We do send messages to the stars, hoping someone will reply. And yes, objects like 3E Atlas pass through our solar system, carrying mysteries we barely understand. The fiction lies not in the discovery, but in the reply. Yet in that imagined response, there's something profoundly human, a reflection of our curiosity and fear, our desperate need to matter in an uncaring universe. Because if the message had been real, if those coordinates to an empty void were genuine, it would suggest that we are not only observed but tested. That scattered across the galaxy, there are other worlds who received their own version of the cosmic textbook. Some may have decoded it, some perished trying, and some, like us, stared at the silence, unsure if it was an invitation or a warning. In the end, that's what the 3E Atlas mystery represents. A mirror to our place in the cosmos. It tells a humble story, that we are still infants, barely scratching the surface of understanding. The message, real or imagined, reminds us that every equation solved, every mystery uncovered, may be another breadcrumb on a path laid down eons ago by minds far greater than ours. And so the world moves on, unaware that for a few fleeting moments, something spoke, and then went silent. But perhaps silence was the message all along. Perhaps it wasn't meant to answer our questions, but to make us ask better ones. Because somewhere out there, in the cold spaces between stars, the experiment continues. And whether we're ready or not, we've already been noticed. If we received such a message, should we reply or stay silent forever? The vast silence that followed wasn't empty. It was charged with possibility. Every unanswered question felt like a doorway left ajar, inviting humanity to step through and explore the unknown. But exploration demands courage, and the fear of what we might find often tethers us in place. Some argued that responding to such a message could announce our presence to forces beyond comprehension, entities whose intentions we cannot predict. Would our curiosity be our salvation or our downfall? Would reaching out ignite a cosmic friendship or a galactic threat? Others saw it as an opportunity, a rare gift to leapfrog centuries of scientific development. The knowledge embedded in those mathematical codes could propel humanity into a new era, unlocking secrets of the universe we only dreamed about. Could we resist the temptation to decipher, to build, to reach beyond? Governments and secret agencies debated behind closed doors, weighing the risks of disclosure against the promise of advancement. Was this message a beacon of hope or a cosmic test designed to expose our weaknesses? Trust was scarce, and fear often outweighed optimism. At universities and research institutes, the brightest minds raced to decode the fragments of the alien transmission. Every breakthrough sparked more questions than answers. Was this truly a guide to manipulating space-time, or a riddle layered with traps for the unprepared? Amid the excitement, there was a growing realization. Understanding this message wasn't just about technology or physics. It was about redefining humanity's place in the cosmos, confronting our insignificance and potential in one breath. Religious scholars and philosophers entered the conversation, grappling with the spiritual implications. If we are being observed by an intelligence beyond time, what does that mean for free will, destiny, or the meaning of life? Was this the cosmic equivalent of a mirror, reflecting our fears and hopes? Public reactions varied wildly. Some dismissed the entire event as science fiction made real, while others felt an existential dread ripple through society. The idea that we are neither alone nor special unsettled many, shaking the foundations of identity and purpose. Artists and storytellers found inspiration in the enigma. Paintings, novels, films, creative expressions tried to capture the awe and terror of receiving a message from the stars. This mysterious transmission became a cultural phenomenon, a symbol of humanity's yearning to connect. Meanwhile, conspiracies flourished. Could this be a government hoax? An elaborate psychological experiment? Or was there a hidden agenda behind the cryptic message? Trust in institutions wavered, as shadows of doubt clouded the truth. The silence that followed the transmission echoed louder than any reply. It reminded us that some knowledge comes with a cost. The universe doesn't owe us answers. We must earn them, step by cautious step, through perseverance and humility. Future missions were planned to follow the trajectory of the mysterious comet probe. Sending spacecraft to investigate, scientists hoped to uncover physical evidence, to touch the relic that carried the cosmic message. But distance and technology posed formidable obstacles. International cooperation became essential. The mystery transcended borders, reminding humanity of a shared destiny that stretched beyond politics and rivalry. Could this message unite us, or would fear and suspicion tear us apart? Children born into this new era would grow up with a different perspective, a universe alive with hidden signals and unseen watchers. Their dreams might be shaped not just by earthbound stars but by the vast unknown stretching far beyond. Ultimately, the story of the Three-Eye Atlas was less about the message itself and more about the questions it ignited. It forced us to confront what it means to be human in a cosmos that is both magnificent and indifferent. In the end, perhaps the greatest discovery was not the alien equation or the star map, but the awakening of curiosity and courage in the face of the unknown. Because to ask better questions is to take the first step toward understanding. And somewhere, in the silent depths of space, the cosmic experiment continues, waiting for the next reply, the next leap, the next dream.